He's the one and only Raw Dog, Brandon Royval, joining us right now from Las Vegas with the NWO shirt. Brandon, what's happening? Wow.
Bro, the Heartbreak Kid, Brandon Raw Dog Royval. That's what I wanted to announce me as.
Wow.
Bro, I was so happy. I was going to wear this shirt for the interview no matter what. And then I saw Shawn Michaels was on it, and I was like, hell yeah, I'm rocking the NWO shirt for sure.
That is amazing.
Yeah, I was stoked about that.
Much love, man.
Timing. I mean,
much respect.
I wore it yesterday too. I wore it yesterday too. So I was like, we're going to 2-day this shirt for sure.
Why not? YOLO. Are you a wrestling fan or an old school wrestling fan?
Yeah, a huge old school wrestling fan, huge NWO fan, all that stuff, man. I even feel like the nickname's a little bit because the Raw, like a little bit of the Raw, all that stuff, man. The Raw Dog goes good with like the wrestling kind of like promotion and all that stuff. So yeah, huge wrestling fan, all that stuff.
You still watch?
A proud member of the Rat Pack. No, I haven't watched in like years.
Okay.
I was one of those people that probably cried when I found out wrestling wasn't real and freaked out on all that stuff. Yeah.
Yes.
Heartbroken.
By the way, I know you've probably answered this question 1,000 times, but who did give you the Raw Dog nickname?
Who gave me the Raw Dog nickname? I got 4 kids and 7 baby mamas, so it's just like earned, you know? No, I'm just kidding. I was fighting as an amateur, like an early on amateur, and some dude like kept yelling, Raw Dog him, and we kind of like joked about it in the gym for years, and I had this like World Series of I fought for the World Series of Fighting, and they're like, you should try the nickname out, see if they'll say it on TV. And I tried it out. They said it on TV. I knocked the dude out, and I was like, the name kind of blew up from there a little bit, like took like a thing of its own. Like, I can't believe this guy came out as Raw Dog. And then it was like a little bit of superstition, and then it kind of just like kept on. I tried to get rid of it in the LFA for a little bit, and the announcer would just like Mike Kendall, the announcer was like just laid into it. When I told him like, don't announce Raw Dog, please. I'm trying to go to the UFC. I'm trying to be more professional and all this stuff. So it's like at this point, I'm gonna be fighting for a belt, and they're gonna be yelling Raw Dog Royval. It'll be our Heartbreak Raw Dog Royval.
Hey, it's catchy,
Heartbreak
man.
Kid Raw Dog.
I like that too. There's many different iterations, and I like it, and it's memorable. So why not? As long as your baby mamas and your kids are okay with it. This is a massive fight for you in Vegas this weekend. And I have to ask, I saw you talking, I think it was to John Morgan, and you were talking about how pumped you were fighting in front of a crowd for the first time in your last fight and how great it was. When you found out that you were back at the Apex, how did you feel?
I mean, it was a little heartbreaking because it's just like, I don't know, man. I feel like I go out and try to put on performances to be like a crowd pleaser and everything, you know, like I put it all on the line. So it's like, you know, from going from the ultimate high being on like a sold out crowd card, and like, you know, this is my first time fighting in front of a crowd was that time. So I was able to gain fans when my first walkout. So when I was walking out, people were cheering for me, and like it was just one of the coolest moments of my life. And then to be back at the Apex was like, all right, well, we're back here, we're back home, but you know, it's all the same, man. It's all the same. I'm just gonna go out there and fight a motherfucker.
And he's a tough guy coming off a loss, so perhaps a chip on his shoulder. In your opinion, by the way, him versus Kai Kara-France, who you have a great win over, back in March, who won that fight? I'm assuming you saw the fight. Who do you think actually won that fight?
I scored the fight for Kai Kara-France. I gave him the second and third round. It was a close fight, but I think Kai Kara-France did more damage, and you know that's how I score fights anyways. Just who's more willing to engage in the fight. I think, you know, Askarov had control time, but I think that's the least important part of MMA and fighting.
What, if anything, can you take away from that fight and bring into this fight? He's a super tough, durable guy. Are there any lessons you could take away from that fight and apply to your fight on Saturday?
Yeah. I think Kai Kara-France was able to just like push a high pace and able to kind of like gas him out a little bit. And it's like, when I fought Kai Kara-France, I think one of the things that I was able to do is just put a higher pace than Kai Kara-France, was overwhelm him in a sense too. So there's this racer in America. I don't know if you're familiar with him, but Steve Prefontaine. You ever heard of him?
Of course, yeah.
Yeah. And I think that's been a little bit of my motivation this fight is like Steve Prefontaine just is known to put on a massive pace and just kind of like take on the fight role as a racer. And like, that's kind of what's been going on in my head. It's just like, I want him to hurt. And I want him to hurt in the sense of like, one, I'm beating him up, but I want him to hurt in the sense of like where I'm hurting, you know, like I want my lungs to be gassed out. I want to push myself beyond my limits. And then I want him to feel that too. And if I feel like, if I'm feeling it, I know he's going to feel it. And then that's when I think I can be able to take over the fight. It's just put on a Prefontaine pace on him, and then make it dirty, and then try to take the win from there.
Would you rather be fighting him in the bigger cage? Does that matter at all?
Yeah, I was thinking that too. Is that the fight was originally offered in Abu Dhabi, but like my corner, my coach wasn't able to make that trip, so we asked if we can get it a week earlier on his
Ah,
card. But the fight was supposed to be in Abu Dhabi, and that was like the original thing. So that would have been like the coolest thing is like walking into enemy's territory almost, and then
yeah.
being able to fight in front of a huge crowd, and just honestly having the feel of like being like I don't know, being in like the opposing town or the opposing like um I don't know, just like in enemy territory, man. That would have been the cool feel. Like as any fighter kind of wants that a little bit too, you know.
Well, unfortunately not, but still a very important fight. And actually, earlier in the show, I was answering questions from the fans, and one of them was about your fight. And I kind of answered as best as I could, but I actually want to ask you the question because I feel like you'd have a better answer than I would. So, my friend El Cubano sent in this question: Ariel, will the winner of this week's flyweight battle between Askar Askarov and Brandon Royval be more likely to A, title fight versus the winner of Figueiredo versus Moreno 4. B, number one contenders fight against Alexandre Pantoja. C, other. And so I'm wondering, what do you think the answer to that question is? What does the winner of
Yeah,
this
yeah.
fight get?
And that's my goal too, is to go out there and be undeniable, man. Go out there and make a statement. And it's like the title fight's already made. It's made in Brazil, and it's like if I go out there and make a statement on Askar Askarov, then I think I should be fighting Pantoja on that title fight card.
Okay, so be sort of like the backup fight, but also the number one contender fight.
Yeah, be the number one contender fight. Alexandre Pantoja already has the backup fight. He's already the backup for that fight, so it's like might as well get myself in position to go fight him again and get that rematch back.
Is this something that you've asked for? Or have they said like you do something great, you finish this? I don't know. You can get that fight. It's 3 months away, right? So I think it's doable.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. And it's like it's not something I asked for, but I think it's one of those things that it's like Askarov beat Pantoja. If I go out there and finish Askarov, then it's like it kind of cancels out my fight with Pantoja, and that's the only loss I really have in the UFC
Sure.
right now. So it's like I can go out there and get that done, and I don't know, maybe it's just like a wishful thought.
Who do you think wins that fourth fight?
Knowing my luck, I bet you Moreno's going to win, and they're going to do a fifth fight. So
Oh
I
God.
don't know, man. Knowing the
Oh.
luck of the flyweight division,
Do you like
they're
that
going to
they did
go
that?
continue.
That they ran it back for a fourth time, or would you have preferred if they went with Pantoja or something fresh?
I think I would have preferred if they went Pantoja, and it's like if they went Pantoja, then it would give me an opportunity to fight Moreno. What I just like, I don't think the interim title shot made sense to me at all. It's like I don't know why there was an interim title fight. It wasn't like Davison was gone that long. It was like Pantoja definitely earned his stripes beating myself, Kai Car France, and Moreno twice. So it's like it's one of those that it's like I don't necessarily get it, but whatever. I'm just gonna try to get myself in position to be there.
Yeah, and the good thing is, I think you would agree, flyweight has never been more interesting. There's legitimate interest in it. There's great fights. There's finishes. There's exciting characters such as yourself. So I think it's great. Not that long ago, I was reading a profile on you. You didn't even know if you would make it this far, right? Like you were thinking going into your LFA title shot, like, hey, if I lose this, I'm done. I'm not going to even fight anymore. I'm going to quit. Is that accurate?
Yeah, yeah. Actually, and one of the times I was cutting weight for the LFA title shot, I was like in the middle of cutting weight. I took it on a week notice, and that's the week they cut the flyweight division in general. So then
Oh,
I won like the next fight. I lost that fight, and I won the next fight, and then got another LFA title shot. But I remember walking out, and I was like, if I lose this fight, then like this is it. I was sacrificing too much. Life was really hard before the UFC for me, and it was like I was sacrificing, doing way too much, and it was like not sleeping. It was just one of those like maybe this will be the pinnacle of it, and it's like I made it way further than I ever expected too. It's like I never expected to be pro. I didn't even really like none of this stuff really came into it. It was just like a wishful hope and thought. So it's like now that I'm here, now that I made it this far, and it's like now that I brush elbows with the champion or whatever Moreno is right now, it's like now I know I can just beat the top of the division, man. So it's like my goals changed for sure, especially like from that Tim Elliott fight or like from the LFA and all that stuff. It's just as I was going up, I was just like, dang, you say this in your head like, oh, I could beat these guys, I could beat this, but it's like you never really know. And it's like when I went into that Tim Elliott fight, I was just kind of like, all right, I'm gonna take this loss, but I made it to the UFC. And it's like then I go out there and I brush elbows with then I go out there against Tim Elliott, get the win, and then I'm like, okay, I'm in a position to fight Kai Car France, and it was like I was pretty sure I was going to win that matchup, or I liked the matchup for me. And it was like, okay, I'm number 7 in the world, and then now fighting for number 1 contender spot. And it was just like, damn, man, I like, this is amazing, you know?
You started when you were 18, right?
Yeah, yeah. I had my first fight, like pretty much right after I graduated high school.
So why, like, okay, so if this wasn't part of the plan, or at least like you didn't think you'd make it this far, why did you get into it?
Oh, I got into it because so there's like this wrestler kid in high school. Me and him became friends, but me and him were supposed to fight, and it was like I knew a little bit of jujitsu, but I was huge into boxing. Like I like boxing a lot, and I knew a little bit of jujitsu, and I was watching MMA enough where like I could triangle people and all that stuff, like armbar stuff. But I remember I was like, this kid won every state title that you could think of, so I was like, damn, I better learn how to like submit somebody. So after I was like doing jujitsu for a while, I entered a tournament and I won that. And then yeah, I just kept winning these like little jujitsu tournaments. And then the day I turned 18, my coach was like, all right, we're going to get you a fight. And so it kind of just unraveled from there. It was like, all right, I want to fight. And next, you know, I'm winning these amateur titles. And then my coach was like, well, you know, we already beat everybody in Colorado. Like, you want to turn pro? And then I'm like, yeah, might as well. And then it
Wow.
was just like something I was going to do through college. And it was just like, I don't know. It was like I never really had any high expectations of myself. I just loved martial arts, you know, and it just kind of unfolded to be what it was.
And were you working also as like some sort of juvenile detention officer or something like that?
Yeah, yeah. Up to the pretty much the Kai Car France fight is when I
Wow.
stopped, like in the middle of the Kai Car France fight camp. So I was like, yeah, I was overwhelmed. I was working overnights, and then I was doing like 3 a days during training. So it was like I literally was not sleeping up until
How
like
did you do it?
pretty much I slept in my car, man. I was sleeping in my car. And like in Colorado, when like the summer days, it was miserable, but like I was sleeping in my car outside the gym on the winter days, which wasn't too bad. I would just have the heat running, but it was like I was sleeping like 3 hours a day, and like, it was miserable. And it was like I remember thinking it was like right before I fought Kai Car France, I got the bonus in the Tim Elliott fight. But like right before I fought Kai Car France, it was like I quit my job like the month before that, and I was just like, all right, I'm invested in this. And it's like, I have an opportunity to kind of like do as much as I can. And I remember thinking when I fought Kai Car France, I'm like, I got to win the bonus. You know, I have to go out there, win this bonus, because it was like, otherwise I'm going to have to go back to working and doing what I was doing. And it's like, it was just, I don't know, it was just hard, man. And I'm happy that I made it, because it's like, if I had to go back right now and do it, like I could never do that again. Like it was just so miserable.
Man, if I don't get like 7, 8 hours, I don't feel like I could do this show. I'm not going to train and fight people and get punched in the face. I don't even know how you pulled that off. Like, how did you even make it
Yeah.
sleeping in your car? That's wild.
Yeah, honestly, it was one of those things that like when I fought in Abu Dhabi with on Fight Island, it was one of those like few things that I think it was like it played to my advantage, because it was like we're fighting at 4
Uh,
a.m., the sun's up, all that stuff. So it was like I literally woke up. They're like, all right, we have to go to the bus. And then I'm like, okay, like whatever. And then I was sleeping in the back room, and they're like, all right, you have to warm up a little bit. So we start warming up. And then I pretty much woke up from a nap and went out there and got in a fight, you know? So it was one of those things
that is
that
wild.
like years of doing some crazy stuff like that and not sleeping and all that stuff, I think like it just played to my advantage completely in that specific fight and matchup. So I don't know, man. It was just like I was living off a hope and a dream, man. I was hoping it was going to work out. I was hoping this was all going to kind of unfold, and it was like I don't know, man. I don't know. I still think to this day, I'm like, I don't know how I did some of that stuff. I would go into the juvie overnights, and the kids would look at me and they're like, bro, you look like shit. Like, you look bad. And they're like, did you sleep last night? And I was like, I got like 2 hours. And did you sleep yesterday? I'm like, I got like 2 hours. They're like, how are you going to make it through the night? And I'm like, I have no clue. I have no clue how I'm going to do
What was that job like?
it. It was it was the best job I've ever had, and like also like one of the worst jobs I've ever had. It was like, you know, you take a lot home with you, and it's like, you know, in Colorado, the juvie system, it's like a lot of those kids are up in there until they're 21. So it's like if you did something really bad when you're young, you'll be in there till you're 21, and then you go over to the adult system, which is cool and lenient and all that stuff. But it's like these are like almost grown men, you know, like these are men that you're kind of dealing with, and also it's just like you see the perspective in life of like, man, some of these kids just never had a chance, man. Some of these kids are just like so much potential in the world, man. You see like all the potential in the world uh in that juvie, and it's just like, damn, some of these kids never had a shot in life, you know? It's like I had a kid I had a kid that like young, 13 years old, man, and he's tatted up and like he has tattoos all over the place, and he's in there for attempted murder, right? So he's in there
Wow.
for like something big. Yeah, 13 years old. And he has tattoos all over. And I was like telling him, I was like, bro, like like, who tats a 13-year-old? It's like, what tattoo shop did you go in where they let you do it? And he's like, oh, my dad did this. And I was like, what?
Oh
And he's like,
man.
yeah, my dad. And like, it's not like he has like tattoos like mine, like where it's like, like
Yeah.
samurai or whatever. It's like full on gang tattoos. And it's like,
Damn.
I don't know, man. Some of these kids who are like, I don't know, man, just like they're kids, it's just that they're kids, man. And it's like, they have no shot in life, man. And then they're forced to be someone that you're not necessarily like who you really are. It's like, I have this 13-year-old kid who's over here having to be as hard as he can be as a 13-year-old kid. And, like I worked overnight. So it's like when they were sick, this kid had like a stomach ache. And it's like, he has a stomach ache. Everybody's sleeping, and it was like that's his chance he could be vulnerable with me. So I
Right.
let him outside, I give him some tea and stuff, and it's like we talk a little bit, but it's just like the moment that he goes back into his room and the next morning comes, it's like he has to be hard, and it's like it was one of those situations where it's like you have to like if you're not being like a generous person, or if you're not like seeing it for what it is, and you're not seeing the circumstances that these kids were born into, then you're gonna miss it. If I went in as like a corrections officer and was just like, this kid's in here for attempt to murder, and treat him as such, then it's like you're missing the point, and you're missing, like, I don't know, man. And it's like some of those people did do that, and it's like, man, you would have been that same person if you were raised into his life, man. You would have made all those same mistakes and all that stuff. And it was just like it was one of the more heartbreaking jobs I've ever seen, the most rewarding job I've ever seen. One of the funnier jobs, like the funniest stuff I've ever like encountered, like happened in those jobs. Like one time I was working in the school with them, and they were doing like a sex ed class, and they're like, the teachers at the end of it's like, do you have any questions? And the kids are like, all right, we're going over sex ed today. And the kid's like, all right, well, what do you need to learn? So it was like so many funny moments, but it was just like a lot of real moments. And like before pretty much every major fight, except for like this one and my last one, is like I lost, and like I take this hard, but like I lost some kids that I worked with where they got like in gang violence and shootings, and got shot by a cop, and all the above. Like these kids have hard lives, and I don't know, man. They made some huge mistakes, of course, but it's just like, what would you have done if you were in their situation? And
Right.
it's like, we like to think that we would make the bigger choice and all that stuff, but it's like, this is what they make movies off of, like kids that escape these situations, and like that's what movies are made off of. And it's like, if movies are made off of it, like it's not easy. Like it's not easy for these kids to come out and pull themselves out of it, and pull themselves up by the bootstraps, accordingly, or whatever people say. So it's just like, I don't know. There's some real moments and hard moments in there, but I was so grateful for the opportunity. And I'm grateful to even like still like I'm still able to work with like some of these kids, and
Oh,
work
really?
around Denver and all that stuff, and like, yeah, part of the community and stuff. So I'm lucky in that sense too.
That's amazing. So you still kind of keep in touch with some of them.
Yeah, yeah, I keep in touch with some of them, but I've been working with like the dream centers and stuff like that, and like working with like just troubled kids around the neighborhoods. And it's been a good opportunity. The only thing I really know how to do besides like shoot the shit is teach them fighting. So that's like, but like every little kid, every little boy wants to know how to fight, so it works out. So a lot of times I'll just end up holding mitts or something of that sort.
Well, what a story you have, man. I know you have to go to another interview now, and so I'll let you go. I don't want you to be late for that, but I wish you the best on Saturday. Continued success. Hopefully, for your sake, you get a big win at the Apex, and then you get to fight in front of a big freaking crowd because you deserve that. I mean, you're one of those fighters. It's like a shame. You're such a fan-friendly fighter. The crowd goes nuts anytime you fight, good or bad. And to me, it's a shame that you're fighting in front of hardly anyone. But we can lament that all we want. It's great to see what you're doing. You're an inspiration for your community, and I wish you continued success. And hopefully have you back on many more times in the future.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. NWO for life. Thank you, AP Glass, and I appreciate your time, bro.
You're the man.
Have a good day.
Too
You too.
sweet. Brandon Royval. What a guy. Amazing. Going up against Askar Askarov. And of course, as you know, NWO stands for Knows World Order.